Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Mike Herman Nissan Cadillac High School Softball Game of the Week. I'm Steve Wilson coming to you tonight from the campus of Space Coast Junior Senior High School, where tonight the Vipers from Space Coast play host to the Rockledge Raiders. This is not a district contest, but it's a matchup between two pretty good softball teams. To say the least, the Rockledge Raiders undefeated, loaded with talent. The Space Coast Vipers, a very young team, have already shown early in this season that not only that can they compete, but they can win at the varsity level. This is going to be a fun team to watch the next couple of years, but we're going to go at it hot and heavy tonight between the Raiders from Rockledge High School and the Vipers from Space Coast Junior Senior High School. We're moments away from the first pitch. We'll go down the lineup quickly. For the Rockledge Raiders, batting first, playing center field, number 1, Sarah Thomas. Batting second, playing shortstop, number 8, Molly McLaughlin. Batting third, doing the catching, number 12, Jackie Majeskovic. Batting fourth, playing first base, number 11, Savannah Simpson. Batting fifth tonight for the Raiders, playing second base, number 22, Kaylee Smith. Batting sixth, designated player, number 5, Taylor Alford. Batting seventh, right fielder, number 3, Addie Nugent. Batting eighth, third baseman, number 4, Baylor Brown. And batting ninth, left fielder number 24, Lexi Koch. Those are your starters tonight for the Rockledge Raiders as Sarah Thomas steps into the batter's box, ready to hit from the left side against the Vipers pitcher, Bianca Cruz. First pitch by Cruz. Ground ball to second base, fielded cleanly. Bang, bang play at first base. They're going to call an infield hit to Sarah Thomas. Second baseman Maddie Bourne did everything she could do. She fielded it cleanly, made a nice throw to first base, but the speed of Sarah Thomas enabled to allow her to reach first. So the Raiders start this game out with a runner on first and nobody out. That'll bring up shortstop number 8, Molly McLaughlin. McLaughlin hitting from the right side for the Rockledge Raiders. A lot of black on the field tonight. Black pants, black jerseys by the Space Coast Vipers. Black pants, black jerseys worn by the Rockledge Raiders. It looks like a scrimmage between the same team, but these are the Raiders and the Vipers going at it tonight in a non-district high school softball game. That ball out of the zone, 1 ball, no strikes on McLaughlin. She steps back into the batter's box. Pitch by Cruz just a little outside, 2-0 on the Raiders shortstop. Jackie Majeskovic on deck for the Raiders. Infield hit by Sarah Thomas. She's still on first base. Pitch by Bianca Cruz. Line drive to third base, fielded cleanly, trying to double off Thomas. Sarah Thomas gets back, but it was a nice catch by Taylor Powers, the third baseman for the Vipers. It was a well-hit ball by Molly McLaughlin. So they're 1 out in the top of the first inning as the Raiders catcher, Jackie Majeskovic, takes a couple of practice swings. Now she steps into the box. Sarah Thomas still your runner on first base. Pitch by Cruz. Thomas breaks for second. Steal and throw down. She is safe. Good hustle, good speed by Sarah Thomas. So now the Raiders have a runner on second with 1 out. No balls and 1 strike on Majeskovic. As she steps back into the box, Sarah Thomas, runner at second base for Rockledge. Here's the pitch. Call strike, Jackie Majeskovic quickly in a hole, no balls and 2 strikes. We're in the top of the first inning. No score between the Raiders and the Vipers. Have just gotten this game underway. Corners for the Vipers about 3 or 4 feet inside of the bag. Swing and a miss. Strike 3, Majeskovic chases high heat thrown by Bianca Cruz. So now they're 2 outs in the top of the first. And that'll bring up the Raiders cleanup hitter, first baseman number 11, Savannah Simpson. Simpson also hitting from the right side. Swings through the first pitch, no balls and 1 strike. Kaylee Smith on deck for the Raiders. Simpson steps out, takes a quick glance at Coach Ed Edmond in the third base box. Now she's ready. Foul straight back, no balls and 2 strikes on Simpson. Beautiful night in Port St. John. I can tell before we're finished it might be a little chilly, but right now it's not too bad. Cruz in control, no balls and 2 strikes. Gets Simpson to chase one low and in, strike 3. She goes down on strikes. For the Rockledge Raiders in the top of the first inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left. After 1/2 inning of play tonight, the Rockledge Raiders nothing. The Space Coast Vipers come into bat. Once again, this is a special Tuesday evening edition of the Friday Night Locker Room. I'm Steve Wilson, flying solo today. My partner in crime, Orville Susong, is coaching baseball in Oak Galley tonight, so he's got the night off. We'll be bringing you what should be a very good baseball or softball game rather tonight between the Vipers and the Raiders. This is the first of 2 games for the Friday Night Locker Room this week. We will be in Cocoa Friday night as the Holy Trinity Tigers travel to Cocoa to take on the Tigers in baseball that starts at 6 p.m. But first things first, it's high school softball at its finest. We'll go down the starting lineup for the Space Coast Vipers. Batting first, doing the catching, number 14, Kristen Enan. Batting second, second baseman number 12, Maddie Boren. Batting third for the Vipers and doing the pitching, number 3, Bianca Cruz. Batting fourth, shortstop number 2, Giselle Salas. Batting fifth, right fielder number 7, Delaney Eaton. Batting sixth for Space Coast tonight, playing first base, number 15, Alexa Humes. Batting seventh, center fielder number 42, Brooke Hanks. Batting eighth, left fielder number 22, Kirsten Eberhardt. And batting ninth for the Vipers, playing third base, number 5, Taylor Powers. Kristen Enan about ready to step in the box. She'll be hitting from the left side. Umpire points at pitcher Ashley Stevenson, and we are ready to get the bottom of the first underway. Call strike, no balls and 1 strike on Enan. We'd like to say hello to Don Merrick, the Space Coast Vipers head coach, who's out of town, unable to attend the game tonight. That pitch inside evens up at 1-1. Don, we miss you, but your girls are going to do well tonight, I have no doubt. It's a well-coached team. Don does a terrific job every year for the Space Coast Vipers, and they're competitive, and they're young this year, but don't let that fact fool you. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Enan quickly in the hole. The Vipers they're a team that you're not going to want to play towards the end of the season, and you're definitely not going to want to play the next couple of years. Foul down the third base side into the third base dugout. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes on Kristen Enan. On deck for the Vipers, Maddie Boren. In the hole, Bianca Cruz. The right-hander for the Raiders in the circle. Foul straight back. Enan just gets a piece of it. Count remains 1-2. A good at bat for the Vipers catcher. No score early in this game. We are in the bottom of the first inning. Rockledge got a runner as far as second base. Stranded Sarah Thomas at second base. Another foul ball by Kristen Enan. Count remains once again 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ashley Stevenson throwing a lot of pitches to this first batter for the Vipers. Really doesn't have much bearing in softball. The girls, for the most part, seem to be able to throw all night long. Foul ball down the third base side. Missed a base hit by 2 feet. I know that's 3 or 4 fouls at least by Kristen Enan with a 1-2 count. As she steps back into the box, hitting from the left side. Outfield playing pretty shallow. Reaching for it, holding up, good back control by Enan. Ball outside, evens up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Trying to get Enan to chase one outside. Pitch by Stevenson. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Kristen Enan goes down on strikes, but what an at bat for the catcher. She really made Ashley Stevenson work on that plate appearance. That'll bring up the second baseman wearing number 12 tonight, Maddie Boren. Bourne, another left-handed hitter for the Space Coast Vipers. Nice pitch, no balls, and 1 strike. Ed King taking over tonight for Don Myrick, who's, as we mentioned earlier, is out of town, coaching along with Alan Humes and Les Hanks. Pitch low and away. Evens it up at 1-1. Infield playing about normal depth. The corners are in maybe a couple of feet. Outfield still playing fairly shallow. Ground ball over the head of the third baseman. Base hit by Maddie Boren. It was a one-hopper over the head of third baseman Baylor Brown. She did everything she could to get to it, unable to reach that high. So it's a base hit for Maddie Boren, and that'll bring up pitcher number 3, Bianca Cruz. Vipers now with a runner on first, 1 out in the bottom of the first inning. Pitch by Stevenson, swing and a miss, no balls, and 1 strike on Cruz.
Stay in there, B.
Cruz takes a look down in the box at Ed King, gets her sign. Now she steps back in. Base hit, left field. Bianca Cruz, back-to-back base hits by Maddie Boren and Bianca Cruz, who put runners on first and second for the Vipers. Space Coast threatening early in this game in the bottom of the first. No score between the Raiders and the Vipers is Giselle Salas. The shortstop for the Vipers stepping into the batter's box. Salas hitting in the cleanup spot. Can do some damage early for Space Coast. Nice pitch, no balls and 1 strike, catches the inside corner. Maddie Boren at first base, Bianca Cruz at second for the Vipers. Pitch by Stevenson straight back. No balls and 2 strikes. Oh, 2 pitch. Coming up for Ashley Stevenson. Let's see if she tries to get her to chase one out of the zone. Still only 1 out in the bottom of the first inning. Nice pitch, low down. Salas goes after it, misses it. She's down on strikes. So now there are 2 outs in the bottom of the first inning. As right fielder number 7, Delaney Eaton, is about ready to step into the box. Alexa Humes on deck for Space Coast. First pitch called strike, no balls and 1 strike. Not much wind tonight, just a slight breeze maybe blowing towards left field, but not enough to really say it's a windy night. Squares to bunt, back to the pitcher. Can she field it cleanly? Yes, she does. It's a 1-3 put out. Nice job by the Raiders pitcher, Ashley Stevenson, to retire Eaton to end the bottom of the first inning. So for the Space Coast Vipers, in the bottom of the first, no runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 runners left after 1 inning of play tonight. Rockledge 0 and Space Coast 0. Once again, tonight's Friday Night Locker Room Special Tuesday night edition is funded by Mike Urban Nissan Cadillac. The dealership, located on the 520 Causeway Merritt Island, is an authorized sales and service outlet for new Nissan and Cadillac products, and it carries a line of used cars and trucks. The website, MikeUrbanMotors.com. The telephone, 453-2050. We'd also like to thank Beef O'Brady's, State Road 524 in Cocoa. Sean O'Reilly, Timmy O'Reilly, the whole gang at Beefs have always been big supporters of local sports, and the tie-in with the Friday Night Locker Room is a natural. The menu includes chicken, steak, and fish taco baskets, and, of course, their world-famous wings. Thanks to Sean O'Reilly, Timmy O'Reilly, and Beef O'Brady's, State Road 524 in Cocoa. Once again, I'm Steve Wilson tonight, coming to you live from the campus of Space Coast Junior Senior High School, a special Tuesday night edition of the Friday Night Locker Room. It's the Rockledge Raiders and the Space Coast Vipers. Girls softball at its finest. We're about ready to start the top of the second inning. It'll be Kaylee Smith, Taylon Alford, and Addie Nugent for Coach Inman's Raiders. Bianca Cruz in the circle for the Vipers. Her first pitch Call strike, no balls and 1 strike. Nice pitch by Cruz. Had a chance to watch Bianca Cruz last summer during travel ball over in the Orlando area. Very impressive. Swing and a miss, strike 2 on Kaylee Smith. Very impressive youngster. We talked earlier how young the Vipers squad is this year. It's a lot of talent, a lot of young talent, and it's a team that's really going to be good in the next couple, 2-3 years. Foul straight back. Count remains 0-2 on the Raiders' second baseman. Smith hitting from the right side. She steps back into the box. Umpire points at Cruz, says, let's play ball. Here's the pitch by Bianca Cruz. Tries to get her to chase one outside. Smith does not. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I mentioned we're going to have a game Friday night. It'll be Holy Trinity at Cocoa Baseball. Our other crew, Anthony and Allen, will be down in Heritage for the Viera Heritage baseball game. Pitch by Cruz. The 1-2 pitch coming up. Tries to get her to chase one. Nice pitch right out of the zone. Just a little too far out of the zone. Evens it up at 2-2. Good pitch by Cruz. Tried to get her to chase one that she felt like Smith would have to swing at. She did not. Foul straight back towards the concession stand. Hits the top of the concession stand. Count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes on Kaylee Smith. If I pronounce any name correctly tonight, it better be Kaylee Smith, because her mom's sitting right next to me and she's going to let me know if I mispronounce it. That pitch is outside. Has run the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Smith awaiting the payoff pitch from Cruz, and here it comes. Nice pitch. Call strike 3 on Kaylee Smith. 1 out now in the top of the second. That's the 3rd consecutive strikeout for Bianca Cruz. She finished the first inning striking out Majeskovic and Simpson. Taylon Alford now having a couple of words with Coach Mike Inman halfway between the third base coach's box and the batter's box. Now tonight's designated player number 5, Taylon Alford, is ready to have her crack at Bianca Cruz. Umpire says play ball. Infield corners are about 6 or 7, 8 feet in. They're expecting Alford to do something. Off-speed pitch, 1 ball and no strikes. Outfield is backed up just a little bit for Alford. Bianca Cruz once again in the circle for the Vipers. Here's her pitch. Hits the back of Alford. Taylon Alford will walk to first base. And that'll put a Raider on first with 1 out in the top of the second inning. And that'll bring up right fielder number 3, Addie Nugent. Nugent hitting from the right side. I mentioned earlier there's a lot of black on the field tonight. The Raiders, black pants, black jerseys. The Vipers, black pants, black jerseys. Hard to tell apart from a distance. Nice pitch by Cruz. No balls and 1 strike on Nugent. Baylor Brown on deck for the Raiders. Squaring the bunt out of the zone. Evens it up at 1-1. First and third baseman charge. Second baseman covers first base. Shortstop goes to second base. But that pitch was out of the zone. Nugent pulls the bat back. Pitch by Cruz. Swing and a miss. They have the runner hung up. Throw down to second. She is out. Nice tag by the shortstop for the Space Coast Vipers. That's Giselle Salas. After a good throw by Kristen Enan, Alford looked like she was undecided whether she was going to try to steal or not. Kind of got caught in no man's land. The Vipers made her pay. So now they're 2 outs. It's a 1-2 count on Addie Nugent. No runners on base. Pitch popped up towards the second baseman, a 1-hopper. and gets her by a half a step. Nice play by second baseman Maddie Boren. Good pickup by Alexa Humes, the first baseman. So for the Rockledge Raiders in the top of the second inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and no runners left after an inning and a half of play tonight. Rockledge nothing and Space Coast nothing. We'd like to thank Knutson Brain Spine Injury Law Office. They provide representation for members of the public who have suffered head trauma or a brain or spinal cord injury. Knutson Brain Spine Injury Law Office is located in Rockledge at 830 Executive Lane, Suite 140. The phone number for Jim Knutson, 632-2722. We'd also like to thank our buddies at Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness in Rockledge Plaza at 1802 U.S. Highway 1 in Rockledge. Mike Walker and the gang do a terrific job there in the Rockledge area, the Daytona Beach area, and now over in Lakeland. Planet Fitness in Rockledge has 23,000 square feet loaded with fitness equipment, cardio machines. The phone number for Planet Fitness, 321-433-1331. Website keyword, planetfitness.com. As we're about ready to move to the bottom of the second inning, it'll be Alexa Humes, Brooke Hanks, and Kirsten Eberhardt for the Space Coast Vipers. Humes steps in, hitting from the right side. Swings through the first pitch, no balls and one strike on the Vipers' first baseman. She made a nice play to end the top of the second on a low throw by the second baseman, Boren. But 4-3 put out for the Vipers so far. Solid defense played by both teams. That ball misses the zone, 1 ball and 1 strike on Alexa Humes. Seems like Alexa's been playing for a while. Remember her well. Swings through that pitch. Quickly in the hole, 1-2. Humes takes a quick look at Egg King in the third base box. She's got her signal. She's ready to attack the pitch, which is coming up by Ashley Stevenson. Tried to get her to chase one outside. She did not. Good bat control, good eye by Humes. Evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fouled out of play down the right field side. Count will remain 2-2. Nobody out in the bottom of the second inning. Once again, this is a non-district softball game between the Raiders and the Vipers. 2-2 pitch. Just a little low. Has run it full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. The Raiders play in a district with Bayside, O'Galley, Merritt Island, and Palm Bay. Space Coast plays in one of the larger districts in the area. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Fouled up. Does the catcher have a chance? Yes, she does. Nice play by Jackie Majeskovic, running to her left, getting out of the box rather quickly. Catches the pop-up by Alexa Humes. So there's 1 out in the bottom of the second inning, and that'll bring up the center fielder, number 42, Brooke Hanks. For the district the Vipers play in, it's an 8-team district along with Astronaut, Cocoa Beach, Holy Trinity, MCC, Satellite, and Titusville. Nice pitch, no balls and 1 strike. One of the disadvantages of an 8-team district is only 2 teams that will advance to region play, so 6 of the 8 are going to go home. That's a tough number to deal with. Squaring the bunt and pulling the bat back is Hanks. Evens the count up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Once again, Hanks takes a quick look down to the third base box. She's ready to step back in. Kirsten Eberhardt on deck. Call strike, 1 ball and 2 strikes on Hanks. Once again, she showed bunt, pulled it back. The ball caught the corner of the strike zone. So it's a 1-2 count coming up on the Vipers center fielder. Brooke Hanks hitting in the number 7 slot tonight for the Space Coast Vipers. Pitch call, strike 3. Nice pitch on the corner by Ashley Stevenson. Brooke Hanks looks at strike 3. So now there are 2 outs in the bottom of the second inning. Walking to the plate now, left fielder number 22, Kirsten Eberhardt. Eberhardt steps in, looks at the first pitch, call strike, no balls, and 1 strike. Cousin of Brianna Eberhardt, one of our all-time favorites, former Space Coast Viper. Swing and a miss. Eberhardt swings through the first two pitches. She's in a hole, no balls, and 2 strikes. Followed Brianna for years here at Space Coast, and now Kirsten, her cousin. 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Eberhardt goes down on strikes to end the bottom of the second inning. For the Space Coast Vipers, in the bottom of the second, no runs, no hits, no errors, and no runners left. After 2 complete innings of play tonight, Rockledge nothing and Space Coast nothing. Florida Master Temp. Florida Master Temp is located at 3475 North Highway US 1 in Cocoa. Florida Master Temp is an authorized sales and service outlet for air conditioning systems, refrigeration equipment, ice making equipment, and machines. The office phone is answered 24 hours daily. The telephone, 321-639-3166. And how appropriate is it tonight for us to be talking about Florida Master Temp? Of course, that's Tommy Eberhardt. Saw his brother Ed here before the game. Ed, the father of Kirsten, Tommy, the father of Brianna. But Florida Master Temp has been a supporter of the Friday Night Locker Room for a number of years. They're actually not too far from where we are tonight. They're on the north end of Cocoa. We're in Port St. John. It's about I don't know, depending on how fast you drive, 7 or 8 minute drive from here to Florida Master Temp. But if you need them, they'll call, they'll reach the phone right now because they are answered 24 hours a day, 321-639-3166. As we move to the top of inning number 3, it'll be the number 8, 9, and 1 batter for Mike Inman's Rockledge Raiders. Scoreless softball game between Rockledge and Space Coast. Baylor Brown will step into the box, playing third base tonight, wearing number 4. Brown hits from the left side. Bianca Cruz in the circle for the Space Coast Vipers. First pitch, swing and a miss. Brown swings through that one. We mentioned earlier we had a chance to see Bianca Cruz last summer in Orlando at a travel ball game, and she impressed us then, and she looks sharp tonight. She's done very well this year for Coach Don Myrick's Space Coast Vipers. Swings through that one. No balls and 2 strikes. Quickly, Baylor Brown in a hole. Lexi Koch on deck. Sarah Thomas in the hole for the Raiders. 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Brown goes down on strikes. As Lexi Koch will now make her way to the batter's box. Koch is a lefty, wearing number 24. First pitch by Cruz. Ground ball, chopper to shortstop, fielded cleanly, thrown across the diamond. The speed of Lexi Koch is going to give her an infield hit. Such a high chopper, there was nothing that Giselle Salas could do at shortstop except for wait until the ball came down, and by the time that happened, Koch reached first safely. So the Raiders have a runner on first with 1 out in the top of the 3rd inning. They're back to the top of their lineup is Sarah Thomas, who's 1 for 1 tonight, steps into the batter's box. She shows bunt, now pulls it back. Stealing second base safely is Lexi Koch. Great speed. She really took off. It wasn't a bad throw by Kristen Enan, but the speed of Koch allowed her to reach second base safely. So now the Raiders have a runner on second with 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd inning. No score yet between the Raiders and the Vipers. Showing the bunt, tries to place one down the third base side. It goes foul. The lost art of bunting. We see it so often where the kids get so anxious to lay it down. They're not patient. They don't wait for the ball to come to the bat. 1 ball and 1 strike on Sarah Thomas, but she does handle the bat extremely well. That ball out of high and away, gets about 10, 12 feet away from the catcher. Koch easily advances to third base.
Here we go, sir.
2 balls and 1 strike. If you ask Enan, she'll say she should have caught that one, but she did not. So now The Raiders have a runner on third base with Thomas looking at a 2-1 pitch. Cruz gets her signal from the catcher. Pop up to third base. Is it going to stay in fair territory or play? No, it does not. It bounces over by the third base dugout, out of play. It looked like for a minute the third baseman might have a shot at it. Went about 5 or 6 feet beyond the fence. So that's going to even the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Sarah Thomas. Molly McLaughlin on deck. Here's the pitch, foul, straight back out of play. Count remains 2-2. Sarah Thomas fighting hard, trying to put this ball in play. With the speed of Koch, odds are if it's in play anywhere, she's going to score. Pitch by Cruz. Pop up over the head of the third baseman. Center fielder has a beat on it, drops the ball. Koch is going to score from third. Koch had to wait to see if the ball was going to be caught. The center fielder charged it towards the shortstop. I don't believe the shortstop could have got it. It would have been a tough play for the center fielder, Brooke Hanks, but unable to field it cleanly. Scores Lexi Koch from first base as Sarah Thomas reaches first. You're going to have to give the center fielder an error because the ball was right in her glove. So now the Raiders have a runner on first and are up 1-0. Still only 1 out. First pitch thrown to Molly McLaughlin is fouled out of play. No balls and 1 strike. Tough play by the center fielder on the previous play. Hanks, she gave it all she could. Pitch by Cruz. Just a little low, evens it up at 1-1. Good speed on the bases for the Rockledge Raiders in the person of Sarah Thomas. Molly McLaughlin in the batter's box. Jackie Majeskovic on deck. McLaughlin 0 for 1 tonight. She lined out to the third baseman, trying to steal second base, throw down, and she is safe. Good hustle, good speed shown by Sarah Thomas. So once again, the Raiders with a runner in scoring position. Still only 1 out in the top of the third inning. They've had one run cross home plate. Molly McLaughlin steps back into the box. Pitch by Cruz. Straight back, evens it up at 2-2. Bianca Cruz trying to keep it right where it is. Raiders have scored 1 run. They're up 1-0. Rockledge is a team that you can't allow to score too many runs because they play so well defensively. They pitch so well. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Molly McLaughlin goes down on strikes. Nice pitch once again by Bianca Cruz. That'll bring up the catcher for the Rockledge Raiders, wearing number 12, Jackie Majeskovic. Majeskovic 0 for 1 tonight. She struck out in the first inning. Sarah Thomas still standing on second base for the Raiders. First pitch off speed outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Once again, hello to Don Myrick. Coach, I hope you're able to pick up the game tonight. Your Vipers are looking well. They're down 1-0, but it's a good-looking softball team. Pitch by Cruz. Outside once again, trying to catch a runner at second. Unsuccessful. 2 balls and no strikes on Majeskovic. We are in the top of the third inning. Rockledge 1, Space Coast 0. Raiders with a runner in scoring possession at second base. There are 2 outs in the top of the third. 2-0 pitch on Majeskovic. Pops it up. Catcher might have a shot at it. And not quite. Good effort, good hustle by Kristen Enan. Ball falls to the ground. Foul ball strike. So Majeskovic will get another crack at it. Two balls and 1 strike on the Rockledge catcher. Swing and a miss. Evens it up at 2-2. One of the top hitters in Brevard County, Jackie Majeskovic. She's a tough one. Cruz got her swinging in the first inning. Now she's one strike away from getting her again in the third. Call strike three. Nice pitch on the inside corner by Bianca Cruz as Majeskovic goes down on strikes for the second time tonight. So for the Rockledge Raiders, in the top of the third inning, they come up with 1 run on 1 hit, 1 error, and 1 runner left. After 2.5 innings of play tonight, it's the Rockledge Raiders 1, the Space Coast Vipers nothing. We'd like to thank Al's Trophy Shop, 2 Brevard County locations, one on Palm Bay Road in Palm Bay, and the other in Cocoa on US 1 just north of the beach line. Al's Trophy Shop creates custom plaques and trophies. They can be reached at 636-6188. That's 636-6188. At the conclusion of every Friday night locker room game, we present a Friday night locker room player of the game plaque. I have that one sitting right in front of me tonight. It's made by Al's Trophy Shop. They do a terrific job. Who will it be presented to tonight? It's way too early to tell, but stick around, don't go away. It's going to go home with one young lady tonight, either a Space Coast Viper or a Rockledge Raider. We'd also like to thank Community Bank of the South. They have 3 locations, one at 277 North Sykes Creek Parkway in Merritt Island, one at State Road 524 in Cocoa, and the other at 1902 South Fisk Boulevard in Rockledge. Community Bank of the South provides personal banking, online banking, business banking, commercial and residential loans, and other service. Community Bank of the South is an equal housing lender and FDIC insured. The website, cbosdirect.com. As we're about ready to move to the bottom of the third inning, it'll be Taylor Powers, Kristen Enan, and Maddie Boren for the Vipers. Ashley Stevenson still in the circle for the Rockledge Raiders. First pitch high and away, 1 ball and no strikes on the Vipers' third baseman. Taylor Powers steps out of the box now, quickly gets back in. Nice pitch, evens it up at 1-1. First at bat of the night for Taylor Powers. Quick timeout call by the umpire at first base. Looked like he has something in his eye. So that's not good for an umpire. Whatever it is, I guess he's rubbed it out. He's ready to continue the game. This piece of dirt in the eye is brought to you by Custom Print Screen Printing, located at 1740 South Huntington Lane in Rockledge. Swing and a miss. Nice pitch by Stevenson. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Taylor Powers. Powers ready to go after this one. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Taylor Powers goes down on strikes to start the bottom of the third inning. That'll bring the Vipers back up to the top of their lineup. Catcher number 14, Kristen Enan. Enan 0 for 1 tonight. She struck out in the top of the first inning. Looks at the first pitch away, 1 ball and no strikes. Maddie Boren on deck for Space Coast. Enan gets the sign, steps back into the box. That one just a little tight. Good eye by the catcher for the Space Coast Vipers. 2 balls and no strikes. Infield back just a little bit. First baseman's playing even with the bag. That pitch is low, 3-0. Third baseman for the Raiders, that's Baylor Brown. She's about maybe 3 steps inside of the bag. Outfield playing extremely shallow, especially the center fielder. She's about 6 feet from the dirt. Call strike, 3 balls and 1 strike. Nice pitch by Ashley Stevenson. Right fielder and left fielder a little deeper, but the center fielder is playing about as shallow as you can play without being in the infield. Call strike once again. Stevenson fighting back, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Enan jumped out in control in this at bat 3-2. Now Stevenson has worked it back to a 3-2 count. Righty against lefty. Here's the payoff pitch. Ground ball to shortstop. A one hopper across the diamond. Nice throw by shortstop for the Rockledge Raiders. Molly McLaughlin scored as a 6-3 putout for the second out in the bottom of the third inning. And that'll bring up the Space Coast Vipers' second baseman, number 12, Maddie Boren. Boren 1 for 1 tonight. She singled in the first inning. Reached as far as second base before the inning came to a conclusion. First pitch called strike. No balls in, 1 strike on Boren. That pitch low and away evens it up at 1-1. Bianca Cruz, the pitcher for the Vipers, on deck. She'd love to hit this half inning. There are, however, 2 outs. Rockledge up 1-0. Ground ball slapped foul straight back towards where we are tonight, which is directly behind home plate. Boren gets the signal from Ed King in the third base box. Steps back into the batter's box, hitting from the left side. Ashley Stevenson gets the sign from Majeskovic. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Maddie Boren goes down on strikes. So for the Space Coast Vipers in the bottom of the third inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and no runners left. After 3 innings of play, the Rockledge Raiders won, the Space Coast Vipers nothing. We would like to thank Custom Print Screen Printing. They're located at 1740 South Huntington Lane in Rockledge. They provide textile printing products for family reunions, church gatherings, civic organizations, sports teams, uniforms, and business shirts. Custom Print's office phone number is area code 321-631-3652. We'd also like to thank Jimmy's Restaurant. One Jimmy's Restaurant located in Rockledge at 1279 Admiralty Boulevard, next to Turtle Creek Golf Club. The other one not too far from here. We're in Port St. John tonight. Jimmy's Restaurant, US 1 in Port St. John near Fay Boulevard, but Jimmy Moscola is open. Jimmy's number 2. You got to go to Jimmy's and ask for the Steve Wilson shrimp and grits. You'll see it on the menu, but it's unbelievable how they make it. Jimmy does it just a little bit different. He's taught the folks in Rockledge how to do it, and I'm telling you, it's as good as it gets. If you like seafood, if you like grits, if you like shrimp, then you got to get the Steve Wilson's shrimp and grits. Jimmy's Restaurant in Rockledge and in Port St. John. So we're just about set to move the top of the 4th inning. This game's zipping right along. 2 outstanding pitchers tonight, Ashley Stevenson of the Rockledge Raiders and Bianca Cruz of the Space Coast Vipers. It's a 1-0 Rockledge lead. Quick powwow between Coach Mike Inman in the third base box and the home plate umpire. I don't see any changes made. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about, but regardless, Savannah Simpson is set to step into the batter's box and lead off the top of the 4th for the Rockledge Raiders. Simpson 0 for 1 tonight. She ended the top of the first inning going down on strikes. Umpire points at Cruz and says, let's play ball. First pitch off speed, a terrific pitch. Pull the string on that one, no balls and 1 strike. There, you just could not swing at that one. Great pitch by Cruz. 0-1 pitch, ground ball short to third baseman. 5-3 put out, a bang-bang play. Nice play by Taylor Powers. She's made a couple of nice plays at third base. That ball was well hit by Savannah Simpson. A short hopper to Taylor Powers, who cleaned it up nicely, throws it across to Alexa Humes to record their first out in the top of the 4th inning. And that'll bring up second baseman number 22, Kaylee Smith. Swing and a miss, no balls and 1 strike. Smith looked at strike 3 to lead off the top of the second inning. Rockledge up 1-0 in this non-district softball game. Pitch by Cruz way out of the zone, tried to get Smith to chase one. She did not. Evens of the count at 1-1. Solid softball played up to this point by both teams. Only one error committed between the two teams. We're in the 4th inning. Chopper foul down the first base side has run the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes on the Raiders' second baseman. Kaylee Smith walks back, picks up her bat, takes a quick glance at Mike Inman in the third base box. She's ready. The umpire is ready. The pitch by Cruz, just a little high, evens it up at 2-2. Rockledge 1, Space Coast nothing. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Lexi Koch single, stole second, and scored on an error. It's the only run of the ball game tonight so far. Foul straight back. Smith gets a piece of it. Count remains even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Taylon Alford on deck for the Rockledge Raiders. She's the designated player tonight and will be hitting in the number 6 slot. Ground ball to shortstop once again. Fielded nicely by Taylor Powers. Throws it across the diamond. Another 5-3 putout recorded by the Vipers. So now there are 2 outs in the top of the 4th inning. And that will bring up tonight's designated player, number 5, Taylon Alford. Last time we saw the Raiders in action, Taylon Alford was the pitcher in the circle, only a 9th grader. Has played well this year for the Raiders. First pitch away, 1 ball and no strikes. Addie Nugent on deck for Rockledge. Good crowd on hand tonight, especially, well, on both sides. I was going to say especially the home team Vipers, but Rockledge has brought a good crowd as well as Alfred swings through that pitch. Evens it up at 1-1. Bianca Cruz has recorded consecutive 5-3 putouts. Ground ball back to up the middle. Cruz almost had a shot at it, got under the glove, base hit to center field by Taylon Alford. The ball was hit so hard by the time Cruz went down for it, it got past her. So it was a clean single without question. So the Raiders will have a runner on first with 2 outs in the top of the 4th inning. And that'll bring up right fielder number 3, Addie Nugent. Rockledge 1, Space Coast nothing. Top of the 4th inning, there are 2 outs. Pitch by Bianca Cruz. Swing and a miss, no balls, and 1 strike. Space Coast playing well this year. A very young squad has shown not only can they compete, but they can win games as well. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Another good pitch by Cruz. So quickly, Addie Nugent in the hole. Rockledge with a runner on first in the person of Taylon Alford. 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Nugent goes down on strikes. And the top of the 4th comes to an end. So for the Rockledge Raiders, in the top of the 4th, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left. After 3.5 innings of play tonight, Rockledge 1, Space Coast nothing. Once again, this is a special Tuesday night edition of the Friday Night Locker Room, coming to you live from the campus of Space Coast Junior Senior High School. It's the Vipers from Space Coast and the Raiders from Rockledge. With technology the way it is today, we used to do only Friday night games, and now you can do a game whenever you want to. It's incredible. You get the right equipment. We'd like to thank our partners at SpaceCoastDaily.com, Tom Palermo, Giles Malone, Zach Clark, the whole crew. But once we've partnered with Space Coast Daily, it's really opened up avenues such as what we're doing tonight. Odds are we would not be doing a Tuesday night game without the partnership of SpaceCoastDaily.com. So thanks to those guys. And this is what we do. We enjoy covering high school sports. We've had opportunities to do other events, and they're fun, but there's nothing quite like a high school sport, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, softball, whatever's in season. That's where you're going to find the Friday Night Locker Room. So tonight it's softball. Friday night it'll be baseball, and then next week we'll start it all over again. So we're about ready to move to the bottom of the 4th inning. For the Space Coast Vipers, it'll be the number 3, 4, and 5 batters, Bianca Cruz, Giselle Salas, and Delaney Eaton. Hitting for Coach Don Myrick and Coach Ed King's Space Coast Vipers. First pitch by Stevenson. Swing and a miss, no balls, and 1 strike on Cruz. Pitcher against pitcher. Cruz is 1 for 1 tonight. She singled in the first inning. That pitch outside evens up the count at 1-1. Ed King giving signs in the third base box. I don't have a clue what the signs are. Coach Don Myrick, I should turn the camera towards him so that way you know exactly what the kids are looking at. That pitch foul straight back, 1 ball and 2 strikes. We're sailing right along. Bottom of the 4th inning, Rockledge 1, Space Coast nothing. Cruz awaiting the pitch from Stevenson. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Stevenson got her to chase 1 out of the strike zone, so Bianca Cruz goes down on strikes. And that'll bring up shortstop wearing number 2, Giselle Salas. Salas 0 for 1 tonight. She struck out in the first inning. Swing and a miss. She swings through the first pitch. No balls and 1 strike. 1 out in the bottom of the 4th. This is a regulation 7-inning softball game. Pitch by Stevenson, fouled, out of play down the right field side, over the bleachers on the right field side. So quickly, Giselle Salas in a hole at 0-2. Ball back in play. Stevenson gets the sign from Majeskovic. Line shot to second baseman, fielded cleanly before it hit the ground. Nice play by second baseman Kaylee Smith to record the 2nd out in the bottom of the 4th inning. Credit Smith with that put out. And that'll bring up the Vipers right fielder, number 7, Delaney Eaton. Eaton 0 for 1 tonight. She grounded back to the pitcher, Ashley Stevenson, to end the first inning. First pitch called strike, no balls and 1 strike on Eaton. Alexa Humes on deck. Swing and a miss, no balls and 2 strikes. Defensively, the Raiders playing pretty much straight up. They're shaded a little bit to the left field side. Infield at about normal depth on the number 5 hitter for the Vipers. 0-2 pitch coming. Foul straight back over our head. Count will remain at 0-2. A little too close for comfort. That was about 10 to 12 feet behind us. Undecided whether I should protect the equipment or protect me. It's a really no-brainer. I'm going to protect me first and then the equipment second. Umpire says play ball. 0-2 pitch coming from Stevenson. Off-speed pitch, trying to get her to chase 1 outside. She does not do that. Delaney Eaton, good eye. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th inning. Rockledge up 1-0 in this girls' softball contest. Signal given by Majeskovic. She's trying to go outside with it. Hits the glove, but it's out of the zone. Evens it up at 2-2. One of those plays defensively where Majeskovic sets up outside. Foul straight back, count remains 2-2, but nice job by Majeskovic. She's thinking she's going to set up outside. If the pitcher hits the glove and she doesn't move it, she might try to get the umpire to think it's a strike, but nice job by the umpire to look at the softball and not where the player set up. Deuces wild across the bottom of the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Delaney Eaton goes down on strikes to conclude the bottom of the 4th inning. So, for the Space Coast Vipers in the bottom of the 4th, no runs, no hits, no errors, and no runners left. After 4 complete innings of play, it's the Rockledge Raiders 1, the Space Coast Vipers 0. We'd like to thank DeCandio and Associates, Allstate Insurance. They have 2 locations, one right here in Port St. John at 950 Fay Boulevard, and the other a little north of us in Mims at 3239 North Highway US 1. for auto, home, life investments, disability, plus boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, or renters insurance. Jennifer DeCandio, Agency Principal and Associates, Allstate Insurance. Beautiful evening on the Space Coast. It was, I think, pushing 80 degrees to get today. It's supposed to be in the 80s again tomorrow, the low 80s. Florida weather, this is what it's all about. We're in early March and a lot of short sleeves, a lot of shorts. Although it's gotten a little chilly tonight. Once the sun goes down, we're still in that mode where it's not quite shorts and T-shirt weather at night. But I'm telling you, it's not bad. As we're about ready to move to the top of inning number 5, we see Ed King. I guess we'll call him the acting head coach since Coach Myrick is out of town. He's out on the field talking to a couple of his players. We're not quite ready to start this inning for some reason. Now we're ready to get things underway. Everybody's happy. Everybody's ready to play ball. Rockledge 1, Space Coast nothing as we move to the top of inning number 5. The scoreboard still says it's the 4th inning, but it is the 5th. It'll be Baylor Brown, Lexi Koch, and Sarah Thomas for the Raiders in the top of the 5th inning. Brown squares to bunt. The lefty swings through it. No balls in 1 strike on the Raiders' third baseman. She's 0 for 1 tonight. Struck out to lead off the top of the 3rd inning. Lexi Koch is on deck. She scored the only run tonight of this contest. Just a little low. That was close, but umpire says it was low, and it probably was. 1 ball and 1 strike on Brown. Brown awaits the pitch from Cruz. Ground ball, shortstop in the hole, bobbles it just a second. Just enough to allow Brown to reach first base. What a close play. Is it a hit or an error? Because it was a slight bobble by Giselle Salas. But I'm going to credit Brown with a base hit. She hit the ball well. The shortstop had to go to her right to field it. Could have gone either way, but we're going to credit Brown with a base hit. So the Raiders have a runner on first. To lead off the top of the 5th inning, squaring to bunt, it's Lexi Koch. Foul ball, no balls and 1 strike on Koch. Yeah, it was a hard ball for the shortstop, Giselle Salas, to handle. She had to go to her right. She couldn't backhand it. She kind of underhand scooped it and just slightly bobbled it. Not too bad, but just enough for Baylor Brown to reach first base. Squaring to bunt, bunting through it and missing it. The ball gets about 10 feet away, allowing Baylor Brown to take second base. So the Raiders accomplished what they wanted to accomplish by getting their runner over to second base. No balls and 2 strikes on Lexi Koch. Now Coach Ed King is going to call a timeout. Have a quick word with the home plate umpire. I don't know if he thought maybe the batter got a piece of the ball. I'm not quite sure what he's talking about. Regardless, we got a quick timeout called. It's a 1-0 Rockledge lead in the top of the 5th inning. Rockledge Raiders with a runner on second base and nobody out. The number 9 batter in the batter's box in the person of Lexi Koch. And then the Raiders will be back up to the top of their lineup. Conversation has ended between Ed King and the home plate umpire. No balls and 2 strikes on Koch. Pitch by Cruz. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Koch goes down on strikes. The 8th strikeout of the night for Bianca Cruz, and that'll get the Raiders back up to the top of their batting order. Sarah Thomas, who's 1 for 2 tonight. High and tight, 1 ball and no strikes. Thomas singled in the 1st inning. She reached on an error in the 3rd inning, and that's when the only run of the game scored. Lexi Koch scored from 3rd, rather. Thomas shows bunt, pulls it back. Now shows bunt again, but the ball was out of the zone, and she pulled it back in time. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. 2 balls and no strikes on Sarah Thomas. Molly McLaughlin on deck for the Raiders. Still just 1 out, runner on second. That ball low and away. 3-0 quickly on the Raiders center fielder. Dangerous batter in the on deck circle in the person of Molly McLaughlin, entering the game tonight with a rather lofty .514 batting average. Nice pitch by Cruz, catches the corner, 3 balls and 1 strike. Trying to get the ball, trying to record the out at second, and they do. Throwing down to second, terrific defensive play. Caught the runner at second, napping Baylor Brown. So now there are 2 outs, no runners on base. Big play defensively. The count is 3 balls and 1 strike on Sarah Thomas. Now the entire complexion of this inning has changed. Now the Raiders do not have a runner in scoring position and 1 out. There's 2 outs and nobody on. Sarah Thomas fouls that one out of play. Has run the count full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Thomas swinging from the left side. Here's the pitch by Bianca Cruz. That ball low and away as well. Sarah Thomas is going to walk to first base. It'll be the 3rd time tonight she has reached first base. And that'll bring up the Raiders shortstop, number 8, Molly McLaughlin. McLaughlin hitting over 500 on the year. She's a good one. Here is the pitch by Cruz. Foul ball down the right field side, out of play. Hit hard, but just a little late on that fastball thrown by Bianca Cruz. Ball thrown back into play. We're on the top of the 5th inning. Rockledge 1, Space Coast nothing in this non-district softball contest. Excuse me, Molly McLaughlin steps back into the box. No balls and 1 strike. Now it's no balls and 2 strikes as McLaughlin swings through that offering. Oh-2 pitch coming up. Bianca Cruz in control. Oh-2 pitch coming. Fly ball to center fielder. Has a beat on it. And recording the out is Brooke Hanks in center field. Nice play defensively by the Space Coast Vipers. So for the Rockledge Raiders in the top of the 5th inning, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and no runners left. After 4.5 innings of play tonight, the Rockledge Raiders 1, the Space Coast Vipers nothing. We'd like to thank once again our title sponsor, Mike Erdman of Mike Erdman Nissan Cadillac. The dealership, located on the 520 Causeway, Merritt Island, is an authorized sales and service outlet for new Nissan and Cadillac products, and it carries a line of used cars and trucks. The website, MikeErdmanMotors.com. The telephone, 453-2053. We'd also like to thank Beef O'Brady's, State Road 524 in Cocoa, Sean O'Reilly, Timmy O'Reilly, the whole gang at Beef's. They've always been big supporters of local sports, and the tie-in with the Friday night locker room is a natural. The menu includes chicken, steak, fish, taco baskets, wings. We'd like to thank once again Sean O'Reilly and Beef O'Brady's. Next time you go to Cocoa High School baseball field, take a look at the scoreboard in left center field. Sponsored by Beef O'Brady's, Space Coast Daily, and the Friday Night Locker Room. You'll see all 3 names and logos on the board. Good-looking scoreboard at Cocoa High School baseball field was put up about a week ago. We'll be broadcasting from there Friday night as the Tigers host the Holy Trinity Tigers in a baseball game that starts at 6 p.m. We'll go on the air a couple of minutes prior to then. But first things first, it's softball tonight as we move to the bottom of the 5th inning. In a pitcher's duel, Rockledge 1, Space Coast nothing. It'll be Alexa Humes, Brooke Hanks, and Kirsten Eberhardt hitting for the Vipers. first pitch out of the zone, 1 ball and no strikes on Alexa Humes. The ball fouled out of play, evens it up at 1-1. Humes 0 for 1 tonight. She popped up to the catcher in foul territory to lead off the second inning. Humes had batting in the number 6 slot for Coach Ed King's Space Coast Vipers. That ball low, 2 balls and 1 strike on the Vipers' first baseman. Humes hitting from the right side. Pitch by Stevenson, foul straight back. Evens it up at 2-2. Brooke Hanks with a bat in her hand in the on-deck circle. Stevenson now with a softball. Gets the sign. Here's the pitch. Just gets a piece of that one and fouls it straight back. There's an off-speed pitch that Humes did a nice job just to do something with to allow her to see another pitch. Humes is ready. Stevenson wants Majeskovic to go through the signs again. Nice pitch, swing and a miss. Humes goes down on strikes. Nine strikeouts recorded tonight for Ashley Stevenson. 8 strikeouts recorded for Bianca Cruz. This is the definition of a pitcher's duel. As Brooke Hanks steps into the batter's box, Hanks 0 for 1 tonight. She looked at strike 3 in the second inning. She tips that one into the mitt of the catcher. No balls and 1 strike on Brooke Hanks. Kirsten Eberhardt on deck for the Vipers. There are 1 out. There's 1 out in the bottom of the 5th inning. Pitch just a little low. Nice job of skipping out of the way of that one. One's across the bottom of the scoreboard. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. 1-0. Hanks takes a couple of swings out of the box. Now she steps back in. Pitch by Stevenson. Swings through it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. A lot of strikes thrown tonight by both pitchers, Bianca Cruz of the Space Coast Vipers and Ashley Stevenson of the Rockledge Raiders. Rockledge has yet to lose a softball game this year. Vipers are making them work tonight, though. Call strike 3 on the inside corner. Nice pitch by Stevenson. So there are 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. Raiders up by 1. Stepping into the batter's box, left fielder number 22, Kirsten Eberhardt. First pitch, call strike. No balls and 1 strike. Infield at about normal depth. Outfield about average, maybe a little deeper than you might think. Stevenson gets a sign. Here's the pitch. Eberhardt swings through it. Quick timeout called by Ed King in the third base box. He wants to talk to Kirsten Eberhardt. While he does that, the Raiders infield gets together and they decide they're going to talk in the circle. The outfield, the left fielder and the right fielder converge to center field, so everybody's talking to somebody. Except the coach in the first base box. He's just kind of standing there. That's either Alan Humes or Les Hanks. I apologize for not knowing. I know he's one of the those are the other 2 gentlemen that are coaching with Ed tonight, who both coach with Don Myrick, head coach of the Space Coast Vipers. We don't know what he's doing. We just know he's not here tonight, away on business. But hopefully, Don, you're listening to the game tonight. Your Vipers are playing well. They're fighting the Raiders. They're down 1-0 in the bottom of the 5th inning. Eberhardt swings at strike 3 and goes down on strikes. So for the Vipers in the bottom of the 5th inning, no runs, no hits, no errors, and no runners left after 5 complete innings of play tonight. Rockledge 5, Space Coast nothing. We would like to thank our good buddy Jim Knutson of Knutson Brain Spine Injury Law Office. Jim provides representation for members of the public who have suffered head trauma or brain or spinal cord injury. Knutson Brain Spine Injury Law Office is located in Rockledge at 830 Executive Lane, Suite 140. The phone number for Jim Knutson, 632-2722. We'd also like to thank Planet Fitness. They're located in Rockledge Plaza at 1802 U.S. Highway 1 in Rockledge. Planet Fitness has a 23,000 square foot facility with fitness equipment and cardio machines. The phone number for Planet Fitness, 321-433-1331. Website keyword, planetfitness.com. Once again, I'm Steve Wilson coming to you live tonight from the campus of Space Coast Junior Senior High School. This is Space Coast Vipers hosting the Rockledge Raiders in girls softball. It's just a well-played game. This was the type of game that we thought it would be tonight. It's a 1-0 game as we're going to the top of the 6th inning. Rockledge has played super softball all year long, but Bianca Cruz, she's impressive. We saw her last year. We saw her last year during the summer playing travel ball. Tonight she's just as impressive as we thought she would be. She's keeping it close for the Vipers. They're down 1-0 as we move to the top of the 6th inning. It'll be the Rockledge catcher, Jackie Majeskovic, swings at the first pitch, goes out of play. No balls and 1 strike. Savannah Simpson on deck. Kaylee Smith in the hole for the Raiders. Majeskovic 0 for 2 tonight. She struck out twice, which is really rare for her. She swings the bat so well. She pops up to the third baseman in foul territory. Does she have a play on it? Not quite. Unable to make the catch on that one, and that'll give the Raiders catcher another crack at it. The ball was hit so high, about 6 to 8 feet in foul territory, but unable to corral it is the third baseman. So the count remains no balls and 2 strikes on Majeskovic. Pitch by Bianca Cruz, fouled hard down the third base side, hit the fence in front of the dugout on the third side. A lot of bat speed shown on that swing by by Jackie Majeskovic. That pitch was high. She's a right-hander. She got around on it fast enough to foul it, really pull it towards the third base dugout. 0-2 pitch coming again. Hard hit ball, at least 1 in the gap. Majeskovic is going to take 2, and she's going to stand up with a double. Now their coach is going to wave her around third base. Ball bobbled in the outfield. Majeskovic is going to circle the bases. We're going to credit Majeskovic she stopped at second. The coach continued to wave her on, so we're going to credit her with a triple and an error. Tough break by the defense of the Space Coast Vipers. They played so well tonight, but Majeskovic on a hard hit ball to the gap between center field and left field ended up circling the bases. So now the Rockledge Raiders have a 2-0 lead in the top of the 6th inning. I'm going to back up. I'm going to credit Majeskovic with a double because she started to slow down at second base. Coach Inman waved her around a third when he saw the outfield bobble the ball, and then they just couldn't pick it up, and he continued to wave her. So that's a double and a 2-base error. Regardless, it's the second run of the contest for the Raiders. Stepping into the box and looking at ball 1 now is Savannah Simpson, the first baseman for Rockledge. Tough break so far tonight for the Space Coast Vipers, who've played so well. Still a lot of softball yet to be played. We are in the top of the 6th inning. The Vipers will get 2 more cracks at it. Pitch by Cruz, fouls it straight back. Good crowd on hand tonight in Port St. John. A little chilly, but the wind has died down completely, which has made it not too bad. 1 ball and 1 strike on Simpson. Nobody out. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Call strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes on the off-speed pitch. Cruz really pulled the string on that pitch. So expect the Heat to follow up that off-speed pitch. The 1-2 pitch to Simpson. Pop fly, base hit between the over the head of the shortstop and short of the left field, placed perfectly by Savannah Simpson. She's now 1 for 3 tonight. That'll put a Raider runner on first base, still nobody out in the top of the 6th inning, and bring up second baseman number 22, Kaylee Smith. Smith is 0 for 2 tonight. She's played well defensively for the Raiders. Rockledge trying to add to their 2-0 lead. Squaring to bunt is Smith. Fouls it down the third base side about 10 to 15 feet from home plate. No balls and 1 strike on Smith. Kaylee Smith gets the sign from head coach Mike Inman in the third base box. She squares to bunt once again. That pitch high evens it up at 1-1. Both infielders, first baseman and third baseman charge. Second baseman covering first, shortstop covering second. The Vipers infield doing exactly what they're supposed to do in this situation. Kaylee Smith set for the 1-1 pitch, squares the bunt, foul straight back. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Thinking Coach Inman will probably take off the bunt now, but you never know. Sometimes you will see a 2-strike bunt, but let's see what he's going to do with the Raiders' second baseman. She's going to be looking at a 1-2 pitch from Bianca Cruz. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That ball well outside. Savannah Simpson with a base hit. Runner on first base, Jackie Majeskovic, with a double and a 2-base error, scored the second run of this game. In this inning, swing and a miss, strike 3. Smith goes down on strikes for the first out in the top of the 6th inning. And that'll bring up tonight's designated player, wearing number 5, Taylon Alford. Addie Nugent on deck for the Raiders. Bianca Cruz still in the circle for the Space Coast Vipers. Nice pitch, no balls and 1 strike. As Alford swings through that pitch. Cruz getting the sign from catcher Kristen Enan. Foul straight back has run the count to no balls and 2 strikes. Quickly, Taylon Alford in the hole. Rockledge picked up a run in the 3rd inning. And they've picked up a run in the 6th inning. It's a 2-0 Rockledge lead. We are on the top of inning number 6. Pitch way outside. Nice job by the catcher, Kristen Enan, to grab that one to keep Simpson from advancing to second base. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Alford. Bianca Cruz gets the sign now. Quick timeout called by Taylon Alford. She felt like Cruz took a little bit too much time. So we're going to do this thing all over again. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Rockledge 2, Space Coast nothing. Raiders with a runner on first base in the person of Savannah Simpson. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Taylon Alford goes down on strikes. And that'll bring up the right fielder for the Rockledge Raiders, number 3, Addie Nugent. Nugent 0 for 2 tonight. She grounded out to the second baseman in the 2nd inning. She struck out in the 4th inning. Nice pitch, no balls, and 1 strike on Nugent. So if the Vipers can keep the damage right where it is, they're still only down by 2. With 2 more at-bats, we're in the top of the 6th inning. The Vipers, of course, are the home team. Fastball, Nugent swings through it, no balls and 2 strikes. Oh, 2 pitch going to be coming up to Addie Nugent from Cruz, runner on first. Here is the pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Nugent goes down on strikes. So for the Rockledge Raiders in the top of the 6th inning, they came up with 1 run on 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 runner left. After 5.5 innings of play tonight, the Rockledge Raiders 2, the Space Coast Vipers nothing. We would like to thank, of course, Florida Master Temp, our buddy Tommy Eberhardt. And who else is Tommy? Oh my gosh, we've seen Eberhardt's all over the field tonight. Of course, Kirsten's playing. I hadn't seen Brianna or Tom. Ed's here, the whole gang. But Florida Master Tent, they're located at 3475 North Highway US 1 in Cocoa. They're an authorized sales and service outlet for air conditioning systems, refrigeration equipment, ice making equipment, and machines. The office phone is answered 24 hours a day. The telephone for Florida Master Tent, 321-639-3166. Just got a note passed to me that Coach Don Myrick is listening to the broadcast tonight. Coach, you're missing a good game. The girls are playing well. They made a couple of mistakes, and that's going to happen. That's going to happen to young teams, and then those 2 mistakes have resulted in two runs. But other than those 2 plays, they have been on tonight. So over the course of 6 innings, they've played solid softball against what some people think is the best team in the county. They're undefeated, so who am I to argue with that? As we move to the bottom of the 6th inning, it will be Taylor Powers, Kristen Enan, and Maddie Boren, the number 9, 1, and 2 batters for the Vipers. First pitch by Stevenson, no balls and 1 strike as she finds the zone with pitch number 1. Once again, a lot of black on the field tonight. That one fouled straight back. No balls and 2 strikes on Powers. Home team Vipers, black pants, black jerseys, trimmed in purple. The Raiders, black pants, black jerseys, trimmed in blue. 0-2 pitch coming up to the third baseman. Setting up outside, just getting a piece of it. Excuse me, just getting a piece of it is Taylor Powers. Count will remain, no balls and 2 strikes. Stevenson has done a terrific job in the circle tonight for the Raiders, as has Bianca Cruz for the Space Coast Vipers. That pitch well out of the zone. Stevenson trying to get Powers to chase it. She did not. 1 ball and 2 strikes on number 5. Close pitch. The crowd on the first base side wanted it. The crowd on the third base side said, nah, that was low. So the umpire agreed with the crowd on the third base side. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Taylor Powers. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Powers goes down on strikes. Fastball thrown by Ashley Stevenson. Both pitchers tonight have struck out a number of batters. We'll get the count for you at the conclusion of this half inning, but both Cruz and Stevenson are throwing the ball extremely well tonight. Now the Vipers back up to the top of their lineup. Kristen Enan. Enan squares to bunt. Pulls it back. Ball finds the zone. No balls and 1 strike on the Vipers catcher. Pitch by Stevenson just a little outside. Evens the count up at 1-1. Rockledge 2, Space Coast nothing in this non-district girls softball contest. 2-1. Good game for both teams. A good, competitive, low-scoring game. You like to see games like this. It helps both teams. It never helps any team when you have a runaway or a 5-inning game. It just doesn't work. This is a game that you have to be on your toes. You have to make the plays to be successful. That ball fouled straight back. Excuse me. But both the Raiders and the Vipers are playing good softball tonight. 3 balls and 1 strike. A couple of mistakes by the Vipers have really determined what's happened so far. Infield hit by Kristen Enan. It was a ground ball between the shortstop and the third baseman. Nice job by shortstop Molly McLaughlin to keep the ball in the infield. She dove to her right, knocked it down. But credit Kristen Enan with a base hit. So now the Vipers have a runner on first with one out in the bottom of the sixth, and that'll bring up Maddie Boren, the second baseman tonight. Snap throw to first base. Getting back safely is Kristen Enan. Catcher Jackie Majeskovic not afraid to throw down to first base in any situation. She was trying to catch Kristen Enan napping. She did not. Trying to steal second base, throw down, tag, and she is out. A terrific throw by catcher Jackie Majeskovic. Catches Enan attempting to steal. She's a tough one to steal on. We've seen it not only this year but the last couple of years. The left-handed catcher from Rockledge has an arm. So now all of a sudden there are two outs in the top of the sixth inning. No runners on for the Vipers. It's an 0-2 count on Boren. Ground ball to shortstop. McLaughlin fields it cleanly, throws to first. It's a close one. The umpire calls the runner out. So that'll conclude the bottom of the sixth inning. For the Space Coast Vipers, no runs, one hit, no errors, and no runners left. After 6 complete innings of play tonight, Rockledge 2, Space Coast nothing. We would like to thank our friends at Al's Trophy Shop. They're the ones that make the plaques for us that we present at the conclusion of every game. And who will it be tonight? A number of players have really excelled. We've seen some numbers put up tonight that we haven't seen in a while. So I'm the flying solo. My partner in crime, Orville's not here, so I've got my work cut out for me trying to figure out exactly who it's going to be. But it's going to be a tough one. It seems the more of these games we do, the tougher they get, especially the competitive. Well, both of them. If you have a competitive game, a tight game, it's usually one hit or one pitch. It can be one of a handful of players. And if you happen to be covering a game that's one-sided, where one team scores a lot of run, all of a sudden you've got 6 or 8 players that are hitting the ball like crazy. So it's a challenge at times to figure out exactly who will be our player of the game, but we'll make that decision after the conclusion of this game, like we do each and every game that we broadcast. So we're close to getting inning number 7 cranked up. For the Rockledge Raiders, it will be the number 8, 9, and 1 batters. That'll be Baylor Brown, Lexi Koch, and Sarah Thomas. Brown 1 for 2 tonight. She struck out in the 3rd inning. She singled in the 5th inning. Bianca Cruz still in the circle. First pitch low and away. 1 ball and no strikes on Baylor Brown. Pitch by Cruz is just a little high. 2 balls and no strikes. Lexi Koch on deck. She singled and scored the first run of the night for the Raiders. Rockledge up 2-0. We are in the top of the 7th inning. Call strike. 2 balls and 1 strike on Brown. Taking a quick glance in the third base box at Coach Inman, now stepping back in. Swinging from the left side. Here's the pitch. Excuse me, that's low outside. Has run the count to 3 balls and 1 strike on the number 8 batter in the lineup, Baylor Brown. Brown ready. Cruz is ready. Nice pitch. Has run the count full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. So Brown's going to be looking for a payoff pitch. Nobody out in the top of the 7th inning. Rockledge up 2-0. Bianca Cruz payoff pitch is coming. Just getting a piece of it is Baylor Brown. Good swing. The off-speed pitch could have easily caught Brown looking or had her way out in front of it, but she did a nice job just to foul it straight back. So she'll get another crack at a payoff pitch from Bianca Cruz. Infield at about normal depth, which is what you would expect. Pitch, swing and a miss. Strike 3, Baylor Brown goes down on strikes. 12 strikeouts tonight so far for Bianca Cruz against one of the best teams. Excuse me, one of the best teams in Brevard County. Lexi Koch fouls the first pitch down the left field side. No balls and 1 strike. Sarah Thomas on deck. Excuse me, been fighting a little bug the last 3 or 4 days, and not quite over it. Close to being over it, but not quite. So I kind of get a frog in my throat every once in a while, and without my partner in crime here tonight, it's me and only me, so you're going to hear me kind of scratchy a little bit. I will apologize for that. 1 ball and 1 strike on Lexi Koch. Ground ball, base hit to left field by Koch. Right out of the reach of the third baseman. It was a well-hit ball. There's no way that Powers could have fielded that ball. So that'll put a Raider runner on first base with 1 out in the top of the 7th, up by 2, and get the Raiders back up to the top of their batting order. That will bring up center fielder number 1, Sarah Thomas. Squares to bunt, attempting to steal, throw down. She is safe. Once again, the speed of Koch. She stole a couple of bases and scored in the 3rd inning. Thomas is 1 for 1 tonight. She singled in the 1st inning. She reached on an error in the 3rd inning, and she walked in the 5th inning. Thomas hitting from the left side, wearing number 1, pitch just a little outside. 1 ball and no strikes on Sarah Thomas. Timeout called by Ed King as he walks slowly to the circle. We would like to thank once again Community Bank of the South. They have 3 locations, one at 277 North Sykes Creek Parkway in Merritt Island, one at State Road 524 in Cocoa, and the other at 1902 South Fisk Boulevard in Rockledge. Community Bank of the South provides personal banking, online banking, business banking, commercial and residential loans, and other service. Community Bank of the South is an equal housing lender and FDIC insured. The website, cbosdirect.com. Conversation is over between acting head coach Ed King and his pitcher Bianca Cruz. 2 balls, no strike count on Sarah Thomas. Raiders with a runner on second, 1 out. They're up by 2. Pop fly over towards shortstop, should have a beat on it, and she does. Drifting back into the grass to her right is Giselle Salas. Nice play by the Vipers shortstop that wasn't as easy as it looked. So Thomas pops up to the shortstop. That will bring up the Raiders shortstop, number 8, Molly McLaughlin. McLaughlin 0 for 3 tonight. She lined out in the 1st. She struck out in the 3rd and flew out to center field in the 5th. No balls and 1 strike on Molly McLaughlin. Jackie Majeskovic on deck for the Raiders. Vipers are hoping Majeskovic will not bat anymore in this game. Bianca Cruz, nice pitch. No balls and 2 strikes. Once again, I believe 12 strikeouts, and I'll recount in just a minute, but I believe it's 12 strikeouts tonight for Bianca Cruz. Pop fly, looks like the shortstop has a beat on that one, and she does. Not a problem for Giselle Salas. Another fly ball to the Vipers shortstop, and that'll conclude the top of the 7th inning. For the Rockledge Raiders, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left. After 6.5 innings of play tonight, Rockledge 2, Space Coast nothing. What a softball game we have going on tonight. This is everything that we had hoped and more. 2 pitchers, Ashley Stevenson of the Raiders, Bianca Cruz, really putting on a clinic. Bianca Cruz, I'm going to count one more time real quick like. 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 12 strikeouts for Cruz. And Stevenson has her fair share as well. She's had a boatload of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Both pitchers have recorded 12 strikeouts tonight. Rockledge Raiders up by a score of 2-0, trying to close this one out. And game's moving along at a decent clip. We started about 7:15, so we've been going hour and a half maybe. Rockledge trying to close the door. Ashley Stevenson still in the circle for the Rockledge Raiders. It'll be Cruz, Salas, and Eaton heading for Coach Ed King, Space Coast Vipers. Bianca Cruz getting the sign from Coach Ed King, acting Coach Ed King in the third base box. Oh, a hot dog has just been brought to me. Yeah, right. No balls and 1 strike on Cruz as she swings through the first pitch. Majeskovic giving the sign to pitcher Ashley Stevenson. Swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes. That ball out of the zone. Cruz trying to make something happen. Her team down 2-0. On deck is Giselle Salas. Setting up outside and chasing one outside is Bianca Cruz. Stevenson records the 13th strikeout of the night for the Rockledge Raiders. And that'll bring up shortstop number 2, Giselle Salas. Stevenson has only allowed 3 base hits tonight. She allowed 2 in the first inning back-to-back, and then she allowed a base hit in the last inning, and that's been it. First pitch strike, no balls and 1 strike. Foul straight back quickly in the hole is Salas, no balls and 2 strikes. Giselle Salas getting a quick glimpse into the third base box, now steps back in, hitting from the right side. 0-2 pitch coming from Ashley Stevenson, setting outside is Majeskovic, just a little too far outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Good call by the umpire. It's one of those where Majeskovic sets up outside, the ball hits the mitt, but she set up about a foot and a half off the plate. Line drive might fall in for a base hit, and it does fall in for a base hit. Giselle Salas reaches short of right field. It went over the head of the first baseman. Right fielder for the Raiders charged as hard as she could. So now the Vipers have a little life. They have a runner on first base, 1 out in the bottom of the 7th, down by 2 as Delaney Eaton steps into the box. All of a sudden, don't go away. Still only 1 out, hitting from the right side, square into bunt. Snap throw to first base. Safe. No balls and 1 strike on Eaton. Coach Ed Keen's going to call timeout, talk to his base runner on first base, Giselle Salas, and the batter, Delaney Eaton. And also slipping into the conversation is the on-deck batter, Alexa Humes. Raiders infield all meets in the circle to talk. It's a 2-0 Rockledge lead. 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. This is a regulation 7-inning game. So the Raiders 2 outs away from winning the game. Vipers are not going to go quietly. Giselle Salas just picked up the 4th base hit of the night for the Space Coast Vipers. So now Space Coast has the tying run at the plate in the person of Delaney Eaton. No balls and 1 strike on the Vipers' right fielder. Swing and a miss, trying to attempt to steal second, and she does. She's safe at second. No balls and 2 strikes on Eaton, but Salas makes it down to second on a stolen base. So now the Vipers have a runner in scoring position. Hasn't happened too many times tonight. That's only the 4th runner, only the 3rd runner in scoring position tonight for the Space Coast Vipers. No balls, 2 strikes. Pitch outside. 1-2, not close to the zone. Good eye by Delaney Eaton. Alexa Humes on deck. Space Coast, the underdog on paper. The Raiders undefeated this year, but Space Coast is giving Rockledge all they want and more. That pitch foul straight back towards me. I'm directly behind home plate. Count remains 1-2.
Keep fighting, Delaney. Keep fighting.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Delaney Eaton. Great crowd on hand. Nobody's gone home yet on this one. Umpire says play ball. Getting the sign now is Stevenson. Off-speed pitch. Outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Stevenson smiles just a little bit. It was a good call. Was not really close to the strike zone. Tried to get her on an off-speed pitch. Eaton back into the box. Wind up in the pitch. Fouled back, out of play. Over the right field side, pretty much over the bleachers on the right field side. So the count remains 2-2 on number 7. Two pitch, fouled once again. She's fighting hard, getting a piece of it. She hit that one well, just a little late on the fastball. Count remains 2-2. A base hit could score Giselle Salas from second. You don't want to get in a hurry. There's no time limit, so fouled out of play again towards the baseball field. It's a good thing about softball and baseball. There's no time limit, so you don't have to score the runner from second when you're down by 2. Yeah, if you get a base hit and his third is as far as they can go, that's okay. 2 balls, 2 strikes. We are short a couple of softballs, so we're going to wait just a minute before we get a softball to play with. And softball 3 being thrown back into Jackie Majeskovic is brought to you by Jimmy's Restaurant, located in Rockledge at 1279 Admiralty Boulevard, Turtle Creek Golf Club, and Jimmy's Restaurant in Port St. John, US 1. Let's play ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Rockledge up 2-0. The Vipers with a runner on second. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Eaton goes down on an off-speed pitch. So now the Raiders are 1 out away from winning this softball game. Big strikeout recorded by Ashley Stevenson. That's the 14th strikeout tonight Stevenson has recorded. And that'll bring up first baseman number 15, Alexa Humes. She's 0 for 2 tonight. She popped up to the catcher in the second inning, and she struck out in the 4th inning. First pitch strike, no balls and 1 strike. Stevenson has been in the zone all night long, struck out 14 batters. He's only allowed 4 hits. Ground ball to third base. This may do it. A long throw across a diamond will wrap it up for the Rockledge Raiders as Humes grounds out to third base. So for the Vipers in the bottom of the 7th, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left. Final score of tonight's contest, the Rockledge Raiders 2, the Space Coast Vipers nothing. We're going to go over a couple of numbers before we shut things down. A terrific pitching performance by both teams. Ashley Stevenson recorded 14 strikeouts. Bianca Cruz recorded 12 strikeouts. Base hits tonight for the Rockledge Raiders. Sarah Thomas picked up a base hit. Jackie Majeskovic got a double and scored the second run of the game. Talon Alfred recorded a base hit. Baylor Brown hit. So scattered base hits for the Rockledge Raiders. Hits were hard to come by for the Vipers. They did, however, pick up 4. Maddie Boren and Bianca Cruz had back-to-back base hits in the first inning. And after that, the Vipers only recorded 2 more base hits. Kristen Enan recorded a hit in the 6th inning. Giselle Salas here in the 7th inning. But it was a terrific high school softball game. We're going to do something a little different tonight. We're going to actually award 2 Friday Night Locker Room Player of the Games. We don't normally do that, but we're going to do it tonight. We'll have pictures for you on our Facebook and Twitter account. We're going to have to shut things down here, but our Friday Night Locker Room Players of the Game tonight are Ashley Stevenson of the Rockledge Raiders, and we're also going to award one to Bianca Cruz of the Space Coast Vipers. I don't ever remember awarding a Player of the Game plaque to a player on the losing team, but Cruz did such a terrific job tonight. The 2 runs that scored tonight were both scored on errors. So we could still be playing if the Vipers played a perfect game, but you can't ask anybody to play a perfect game. They played just about as well as you could play against what some people think are the top team, maybe the top team in the county, and the Rockledge Raiders, by virtue of their win tonight, remain undefeated. So we're going to shut things down here. We'd like to thank our sponsors tonight, Mike Urban Nissan Cadillac, Beefo Brady's, Knutson Brain Spine Injury Law Office, Planet Fitness, Florida Master Temp, Al's Trophy Shop, Space Coast Tire, Community Bank of the South, Custom Print Screen Printing, Barry Signs Incorporated, Jimmy's Restaurant, and DeCandio and Associates Allstate Insurance. So for Zach Clark, Tom Palermo, Giles Malone with Space Coast Daily, Orville Susong, no telling where Orville is tonight. I'm Steve Wilson. We hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. And Coach Don Myrick, you should be proud of your Vipers tonight. They played a really good softball team, and they played a really good game tonight. This is a very impressive squad. They're going to win a lot of games before the season is over with. But I'm Steve Wilson. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast tonight. Stay tuned. This Friday we'll be on the campus of Cocoa High School as the Cocoa Tigers host the Holy Trinity Tigers. And boys baseball at 6 p.m. We'll talk to you then. Good night.